follow it, and they're just going to find a way to circumvent the process and the tool. And then
That's my favorite thing to do is circumvent the process.
It's one of my favorite. Hey everyone, welcome back to the DevOps Roundup. Today we're going to be covering top 5 mistakes you make in project management. Hey everyone, welcome back to the DevOps Roundup. Today we're going to be covering the top 5 mistakes in project management. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a like. And Sean, how are we doing today?
Oh, doing great. Thank you, Alex.
So mistakes, right? Mistakes happen a lot. And one of the reasons why I wanted to start covering this stuff here with you was it's so much less painful to learn from other people's mistakes.
It is, yeah.
and given the years that we've been in this industry, we've probably done all the mistakes already. Mm-hmm. And so it's always best to learn from our mistakes and not repeat them. So we wanted to give you our type 5 mistakes with respect to project management and give you some tips and some tricks on how to avoid them. Because not enough to know the mistakes, but really, how do you avoid said mistakes? So let's kick things off with the first one, treating Jira, or any tool for that matter, as the process. And oftentimes, I don't know if you've heard this, right? It's like, it's not the tool, it's the process that's the problem, but everybody always blames the tool.
Yeah. I've always lived by the mantra that you don't let your tool dictate your process. To identify the process that's going to work for your team or your project, and then find the tool that fits.
Yeah. Now, and I use the mantra of like, you don't have a tool problem, you have a people problem.
Yeah.
But it's so easy to scapegoat and just blame the tool, right? Because the tool doesn't work. So clearly it's the tool's fault.
Yeah. And sometimes I'll blame salespeople for this problem, where, if you're a vendor and you're selling a project management tool, obviously the tool they're currently using is the problem. And then everything's solved with the new tool. And, don't fall for that. Because it's never the poisons in the cup I'd choose from you, or whatever that
right
thing is.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's just so many tools out there, right? And like, they're all kind of nuanced in their specialty, and every company is so unique as well that it's really hard to try to fit a square peg into a round hole, which is essentially what you're trying to do when you're like saying like, this tool is our savior, right? Like, this tool is what's going to solve our problem. But it's not the tool. Like, you just can't be putting the blame on the tool, and you can't expect to configure the tool, because garbage in is garbage out. Right? If you have a crappy process, then you're gonna have your tools just as crappy from a setup.
Everyone's gonna hate the tool. It's not really the tool's fault. You're like, obviously, this was not a tool problem. This was a people problem or a process problem. But when you're using tool A and a vendor comes to sell you tool B, they're going to say tool B solves all your problem because it's more flexible, it's more customizable. Or if you're already using that tool and tool A comes along, and that salesperson is going to say, oh, you'll do much better with our tool because it is more rigid, it is less customizable.
An infinite loop of never getting a straight answer. But yeah, I think the more features that a tool has, the more dangerous the tool is, because you just have more opportunities to create such a snowflake solution that it's just not going to help, right? And the more complicated and the more steps and the more involved the whole process is, the less likely your team is going to actually want to follow it, and they're just going to find a way to circumvent the process and the tool. And
that's my favorite thing to do, is circumvent the process.
It's one of my favorite things to do too, right? Like, again, another mantra, make it make sense.
Yeah.
Right. When your tools don't make it make sense, then your developers, your team's going to figure out a way to make it make sense to them. And oftentimes it's going to include bypassing both the process and the tool. And then you're stuck. Like, then you're really screwed.
And if you get lucky, it creates shadow IT.
If you're lucky, right? Yeah. I mean, that's one of my favorite things, right? Is like, I've seen executives that have administrative rights, and there's a process that says we don't grant administrative rights. So that executive who is very pro innovation and pro speed and innovate at the speed of light, they're like, that's okay. I'm going to go and buy my own, or I'm going to go get a different tool. Right. Yeah. And then this is how we end up with these, shadow IT. And that's not what you want.
No. Well, ultimately you want to avoid shadow IT at all costs, unless it's the only solution. Because I have been that manager that that's had handcuffed because the corporate policy says these are the tools thou shall use. And yeah, we don't give projects admin rights. And you have to get that tool out the door or your solution out the door. And if I have to go, in this one example, I'm trying to not to be specific about. Well, that was how Jira got started at the company I was at the time, because we just could not use the other tool the way the handcuffs were placed on us.
Replaced. But I've also seen it work the other way too, right? Like I've seen people just absolutely hate like a tool like Jira because they have to follow these specific rules. And again, it's not the tool's fault.
Jira.
It's not. It's not Jira's fault, but like you can't like. There's a balance that every company needs to maintain. And again, blaming everything just on the tool is a big problem. On to number 2, focusing on deadlines and not outcomes. And this is one of my pet peeves, right? Like I cannot stand this at all. Like the micromanagement in me or the anti-micromanager in me fights this so hard because the moment you to ask somebody to give you a hard date, like you're taking a shot in the dark half the time.
Oh yeah. It's for software development, it never works. But you have to understand what type of project you're on if you're the project management. And has this already been sold to a customer, and there's a specific deadline you have to meet? And at this point, don't just drive to that dedeadline. Find what are the other variables that you can adjust to be a good project manager. Do we drop half the testing time? Probably a terrible thing to do. But an option.
Half the features.
Yeah, cut half the features. Redefine what the features mean. So you deliver the features, but they have different definitions now.
My favorite is the bugs, right? Usually I think that the feature perspective, the development of that is usually okay, but it's all the problems that you ship because you just rush through the feature development. And you end up just moving that goal line of like, okay, what's a Pri 1 bug that needs to absolutely get fixed? What's a Pri you become so
define who is your testing team? Is it your testing team or is it the customer? Yeah.
I mean, this is just the problem of focusing on those deadlines, right? Because you're gonna cut whatever corner needs to be cut to get the thing done because you're not missing that deadline.
Yeah, if you're stuck on a project that is timed by deadlines or paced out by deadlines, there is going to be some horse trading that you're going to have to figure out as a project manager to make that work. There's no other way about it if you're stuck to deadlines. But if there's any wiggle room that you can run your project that is not dedicated to deadlines, that's what you should be looking at.
Yeah. In the words of the great Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, if you can't fix it with duct tape, you're not using enough duct tape. I feel like when you're dealing with this kind of scenario, right? Like you're basically taping a solution together, or duct taping a solution. And
which movie was that from?
San Andreas.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, San Andreas. You can't fix it with duct tape.
I was going to guess the Jungle Cruise.
But at least from an outcome perspective, right? I think I would be like, as a customer, I'd rather have like 1/5 the solution working than 0% of the 0% of the full solution that doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
Right. And I much rather like change the scope than to rush a deadline, because you will know it is going to be noticeably obvious when you rush the deadline.
Yeah, you have to use your negotiation skills to figure out what we can slide. Next release.
But one little hot take that I want to do though is like, I think the reason why we are so deadline driven is because the people that manage the projects just simply don't care. They're there to meet that objective, right? Come heaven or hell, like you have a date to meet, and you don't have the right skin in the game or the right investment emotionally into the success of the project. Because if you did, right, if you cared for just an ounce, then you would not drive to a date and you would drive to an outcome.
Yeah. Now, is it the project manager that's coming up with these deadlines, or is
usually it's not? Usually it's not, but it's the project manager to enforce. And I think, again, we're back to make it make sense, right? As a project manager, you're like the sheriff. And
you didn't make any of the laws. You just have to enforce them. You might be able to negotiate how they're being enforced, but
But I still think that enough, from my perspective, I think project managers usually take a very passive approach to the negotiation of the dates, right? They're just there to uphold the rules
Yeah.
and the laws that have been governed.
Yeah, it depends on the maturity level of the or the experience level of the project manager. A really good project manager that's got years under their belt will push back on things that are obviously not obtainable. But a junior one will just accept it all and then go back to the team and try to figure it out from there.
Well, there's another category here too, right? I've seen a lot of project managers come in through a third party, maybe an outsourced team.
Okay, yeah.
Right. And there I've seen it where I once had an individual call me and he's like, hey, I need this to be done in Jira. And I'm like, that's cool, but Jira doesn't have that feature you want, right? And
But then
like,
they Googled it or they asked ChatGPT and they...
No, but hold on. No, the story gets worse though, because he is sending me a Slack message as he's asking me for this. And I'm like, it doesn't do that. He then sends me an email with my manager CC'd. This is what I want. To which I respond, this is not a feature. He then calls me in a meeting with my manager and he's like, why can't you do this? And I'm like, for the third and final time, this is not a feature. But is that persistent, right? And this particular individual, they got paid to deliver on that deadline, right? They got paid to deliver that result, whether it was the right result or the wrong result. They were paid to keep the team accountable. And sometimes that level of determination is...
So, if you have an outsourced project manager, definitely I've seen that. But also sometimes your customer is paying you on specific milestones, which are the same thing as deadlines. Right. So if you don't meet those milestones, well, you don't get the award fee that your contract was signed, and people that are no longer involved with the project are the ones that negotiated those award fees.
Which is why I love the SpaceX model. I think SpaceX is much, much better.
So release team, DevOps tool specialists. We provide professional services and software reselling around the leading software DevOps tools like Atlassian, GitLab, GitHub, JFrog, and others. To talk with us about DevOps, here's our contact information. Please call 866-887-0489 or via email at info@releaseteam.com.
This is much, much better.
Are we going to go into an Elon rant again?
You can't have an episode of Doru without Elon and his amazingness.
I try not to.
Speaking of poor communication, mistake number 3 is poor stakeholder communication.
It is, yeah.
Right? You need to be able to communicate expectations up and down the chain, all the way around. And I think the biggest problem that I've seen is people are so scared of their management. Right? They're so scared of the stakeholders, they're so scared of the customer, right? They're so scared of the person that negotiated these contracts that they just don't know how to have a difficult conversation with somebody.
Yeah. I definitely, if we look at this a seasoned project manager versus a newer project manager, you really need to build that communication loop throughout the entire team.
Yeah,
and I often see that being ignored, and that one individual doesn't know what the other, and you can't rely on a Scrum meeting, because usually everyone's tuned out except for their little bit. And but building the communication channels, whether it's through a tool or management by walking around, is key for new project managers.
Yeah. The other problem that I've seen is the other extreme is something like a little mouse pops up and all of a sudden the sky is falling, right? You go Chicken Little, and scaring your stakeholders when it's still not time to scare them or worry them. That's a huge problem that I've seen.
Yeah, oversharing is also a problem.
Right.
You don't necessarily need everyone's attention for every little tidbit of news, and I've seen that as well. I've been at organizations where any minor little thing, someone's in my office gossiping about it, and it's like, do I really need to know this information? What are you taking my attention away from, or other people's attention, to let me know that somebody called in sick one day, or someone came back from late from lunch or something?
Right.
So be careful about undersharing and oversharing.
Yeah. And this is where, again, your tool can play a key critical role, because some of the configurations that I try to do in like Jira is set it up in such a way that we use facts and data instead of hearsay to present important information. So having a solid roadmap in your tools, having like solid acceptance criteria, having solid definitions of ready, having a solid priority list, because bugs will arise, and knowing what's a priority 1 versus a priority 3 versus a priority 4, those are very big differences, right? You should know when is it time to sound an alarm, and when is it like you should handle it internally first.
Yeah.
So very, very critical.
Yeah.
Number 4, trying to do everything yourself. I've seen this before.
I have, and I've been guilty of this before. Learning how to delegate is very important as a project manager.
This is one area that I struggle with, because you just can't trust a whole lot of people these days. But it's a very important thing from a work ethic perspective. You just need to be able to delegate and be able to share the responsibility with other people, because
Yeah, if you know, if you do a task, it will take you 30 minutes to get done. But if I delegate it to someone who hasn't done the task before, it may take them 2 hours. Don't let that stop you from delegating, because the first time it might take 2 hours, but it should get better over time as they are doing it more often.
Right.
And that's 30 minutes you get back, so you can work on other tasks. Because if you're a project manager, you should not be, and I say this, but I see this all the time, that project managers isn't a side job. You shouldn't have a full-time day job and then do project management on the side. Project management really should be a dedicated position.
Yeah, everybody treats it as a side hustle.
Most people do treat, or they get assigned to it. It's like, okay, you're the lead developer, you're also the project manager. That doesn't work.
Right.
Rarely does it work.
And then just to kind of wrap us up here, and a very similar note, right? And I think one of the reasons why we fall into this victim of like we have to take on the whole world is because as project managers, mistake number 5, we don't know how to say no to things. Yeah. Right? We just say yes, 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 and eventually that plate gets overfull, and you're just like you're drowning underwater. So I would say one of the biggest mistakes is just not knowing how to say no, not knowing how to set those boundaries, because a good project manager is going to be as good as the things they said no to, right? Staying hyper focused, staying, concentrated on the thing at the real thing we want to deliver is going to drive tremendous more value than trying to please everybody.
Yeah. You need to learn how to say no. You need to understand no is usually an acceptable answer, but then you also need to find multiple ways to say no. And it's nuanced. So you don't say no to a stakeholder the same way you say no to a junior programmer.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, there's a lot of people skills to this job that you need to have. A lot of soft skills. And unfortunately, right, just a blanket ruthless no is also not going to get you any accolades.
That usually gets you replaced. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I had a manager once. She's like, Alex, you airbag me too much. And you don't want to be an airbag, right? Like you don't want to. It's in your best interest to always like absorb the blow so you can protect those around you. But in doing that, you're also hurting the project.
Yeah.
And you're preventing people from learning too.
Yeah, that floats back to most of our top 5 here. Because if you become that airbag, you're slowing down communication or blocking it. You're not delegating.
So there you go, folks. Those are our top 5 mistakes. Let us know in the comment section, which mistake would you add? Have you personally done any of these, or have you done a mistake that you would like to add to the list? Let us know, and make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a like. Share this with your friends, colleagues. Share with anybody you think has done a mistake. A little passive aggressiveness here, but have some fun with it.
If you have a great story and you want to come on, we'll welcome.
Yeah, we're open to guests now, so thank you so much.
Yeah, we definitely are. We're over 400 subscribers, which is great, and I like to apologize to our biggest fan that we mentioned, Elon, in this.
Sorry, man. It's my mission to make sure Elon makes it in every episode.
Oh no, that's going to lose us subscribers.
Subscribe, people. Subscribe.
All right. Till next week. Bye, everyone.